phone on to. Wait, hold on. By the way, can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me clearly, please. All right, that's good. So let me know first if you can hear me. And by the way, I'm already does it, or should already know my sheet. Today I'm going to talk about the difference between biblical dominion and what they call lesser magic in the world. So let's see. Meek is here. Good to have you here, Meek. I see 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much, whoever gave them. So again, I'll begin at the 4 minutes, as I always do when I'm making a live through my mobile phone. I haven't used StreamYard for a while, but I may use StreamYard in the future again. But for now, it's 4 minutes into a live stream that actually begin. It's just to give you time to just come in. So, all right. Curly Girl, thank you for being here. All right. All right, almost at the 4 minute mark. Okay, it's at 4 minutes, so class has begun. So, we as believers are called to walk in dominion. That's what we're called to do. But the paranormal has a counterfeit, which is the use of what they call magic. Now, what is magic? I already explained to you what witchcraft is and what black magic is and what wizardry is. For those that don't remember, let me summarize it for you. Witchcraft is feminine. That means when women invert their femininity in how they function. And with the aid of demonic entities, they're able to take on masculine roles to take advantage of the public around them. That's witchcraft. All right? Black magic is masculine. That is when a man, he doesn't invert his masculinity directly, but he uses his masculinity to control the environment instead of just managing the environment as God told him to. And by doing this, he ends up relying on demonic entities. All right? That is black magic. Now, wizardry is when a man joins Satan's government on the earth, and by giving himself completely over to satanic forces, he becomes this powerful agent that's able to do abnormal things through paranormal aid. That's wizardry. Sorcery refers to you using potions or chemistry to have an altering effect on people. That relates to pharmakeia. It's something they used to do in ancient Greece, where we get the word pharmacy from. No, I'm not saying that every pharmacist is a sorcerer, but it's related. So, now that I've repeated what witchcraft is, black magic, wizardry, and sorcery, what is magic? Now, magic is a container word. Okay, you can contain anything you want in it. Now, when most people hear magic, they likely think of someone using card tricks. Well, that's cardistry, I believe it's called. But anyway, that's just people using tricks with their cards. And if some say magic is when someone does illusion tricks, well, listen, if someone uses card tricks or uses disappearance tricks, those are just tricks. There's nothing supernatural, paranormal about it. So you can call anything magic if you want, because magic, again, is a container word. You can contain anything in it. But what is magic actually? Magic is, and hear what I say, magic is when you use psychological factors combined with paranormal aid to get something done in the earth realm. And that paranormal aid can be witchcraft, can be black magic, can be sorcery, it can be any of those paranormal disciplines. Magic is simply you combining that paranormal activity you're doing with psychological factors. Before I continue, do you understand now what magic means? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Okay, Mark understands. What about the rest? Does the rest understand it too? Okay, good. So someone that's in a circus doing card tricks, they call him a magician. That's, again, magic used as a container word. People call the guy a magician because people are so amazed by the card tricks he does. No, he's not a magician. He's not even doing magic. He's an illusionist. That's the proper term. All right? So actual magic is use psychological factors just combined with some paranormal assistance to get something done. All right. So now that we know that, is there a difference between good magic and bad magic, or white magic versus black magic? Now, there are many neo-pagans, that means many modern pagans who will tell you there's good magic, there's white magic, and there's evil magic, dark magic. Now, Anton LaVey, who was a Satan worshiper, who was the one that constructed the Satanic Bible, and he actually says the following about this distinction between good magic and bad magic. He says, white magic is supposedly utilized only for good or unselfish purposes, and black magic, as we're told, is used only for selfish or evil reasons. Satanism draws no such dividing line. Magic is magic, be it used to help or hinder. The Satanist being the magician. Oh, whoa. So if you claim you're a Satanist, you're a magician. Okay, so let's continue. The Satanist being the magician should have the ability to decide what is just, and then apply the powers of magic to attain his goals. So the Satanist, being the magician, should have the ability to decide what is just. Oh, so there is no actual right or wrong, evil or good. There's no such thing as an actual standard of objective good. The magician is the one deciding what's right. Isn't that the promise that Satan gave to Eve in the Garden of Eden? You shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. That means deciding for yourself what's right and wrong, based on your own self-centered preferences. Is that what the Bible says, calling evil good and good evil? In the book of Isaiah? Okay. So, here's the thing. Many pagans out there are not bad people. They're not. They're just trapped in a messed up mechanism called paganism. So for the demons to keep such people trapped, they need to convince them that paganism is good, that there's something good in it, you can do good with it. And it's true, you can achieve good outcomes with paganism, that's factual. But those good outcomes will always be cancelled out by the side effects that will follow. Now, many pagans are still in paganism because they think that those side effects are just part of how reality works. But they don't realize that the side effects are there because the thing they're involved in is effective. Now, then you have people who are just bitter and angry and just want to cause destruction, just want to escalate their misery. They also may become pagan, but they join direct satanic cults just to do Satan's biting in here and now. Those are two types of pagans. Those who are people who just want to do good, and you have those who just want to escalate. Now, the pagans who want to do good are against those other pagans who just want to escalate and cause the division and harm. Now, so there is a distinction between the type of pagan you're dealing with. But here's the thing. When it comes to the tool that they're using, namely paganism, or in this case magic, the tool is not neutral. The tool is dark, is wrong. In this religion called Satanism, of which Anton LaVey was kind of I will say a prophet, kind of a leading figure, he actually may explain that, yes, they believe in love, but they also believe in hate. You need to have both to have a balance. This is a yin-yang philosophy that pagans come up with. With yin-yang, I don't refer to masculine and feminine balance. In paganism, they misuse femininity and masculinity to come with some black and white thinking in which both good and evil have to coexist. So, this relation of Satanism is just a more direct expression of narcissism. Why? Because in Satanism, it's all about you being selfish. Being selfish is good. Doing what you want because it's your life. Yes, you have to be in harmony with other people, but only out of necessity. And in Satanism, you have the right to dislike people, you have a right to hate people, you have a right to be wrong, and everyone has to take it. As long as how you act out your dislike and hatred is controlled. So instead of telling people, listen, you need to repent because you're defective, because if you tell them that, you need to refer them to Christ. Because a lot of people don't even want to face they are defective. That's why Satanist comes along and gives them an excuse for being defective and tells you have a right to be defective. That's what all Satanism is. Satanism as a religion is really designed for the common people that just want to escalate and not be held responsible. That's all it is. And to lure young people in it, it has to offer some good psychological insights. But when it comes down to it, you're stuck in a loop of always escalating and want to be left alone. That's all it is. Now, this live stream is not about this relation of Satanism, but I have to mention this because it's related to it. It's about this confusion that exists between what's magic and what's actual biblical dominion. Now, in churches, they often warn you for the counterfeit, which is magic. But why don't they tell you about the real biblical dominion? So, how do you distinguish the counterfeit from the real? Now, as the writer explained often, the paranormal, as well as the world and society, operate, or what we call the world, is just all unbelievers together, and society is really the world at the on a local scale. So, what we call the world in the Bible, in secular terms, called society. Okay, society, as well as the paranormal, they operate in patterns and cycles. So anything that operates primarily and only through patterns and cycles is not biblical dominion. No, there are natural cycles out there. For example, you have the cycle of rain. You know how it goes. Rain falls down from the sky, ends up in the seas, then is evaporated into the sky, and then it falls down again as rain. That's a natural cycle. You also have a natural cycle of pregnancy. When a woman gets pregnant, it takes 9 months for the baby to develop, then the baby's born. You also have a natural cycle of how your body processes food. So you have natural physical cycles that we're dealing with in daily life. Those are just what they call natural forces. All right? There's nothing wrong with knowing how to deal with natural cycles. That's a healthy thing. However, when it comes to magic, the magician wants to manipulate natural cycles with the aid of the paranormal to get something done. Now, you see the title Lesser Magic. Okay, but what is greater magic? No, it's very simple. Greater magic refers to a ritual when you use your emotional energy with focus to get something done in the external world, whether it's to build up, whether it's to destroy, or whether it's just to gratify some sexual urges. Lesser magic is just an everyday psychological trick you use on those around you just to get what you want. And lesser magic can also be used by businesses, corporations, or even governments. So, and you also have the left hand pad, which is more kind of the liberal version, and you have the right hand pad, which is more the conservative, based on archaic rules. So in paganism, things are recycled. The religion system is just a recycling of ancient paganism combined with biblical influence. Because modern day people would not fall that quickly for ancient paganism. Paganism in ancient times was raw, into your face. You had child sacrifices being conducted. You had pedophilia as an institution. You had openly scapegoating. You had groups of men hanging teenage boys on trees after others sexually molesting him. Then it turned that was shaped into crucifixion. So in ancient times, paganism was into your face with the violence, and the violence was justified based on the strength of the violator. And mythology, especially Greek mythology, was there to justify the anger and violence of the crowd. Now, due to the influence of the gospel, many people do not approve of paganism as was in ancient times. That's why pagans today are also considered neo-pagans, because there is some, you can say, Christian or biblical influence. So pagans who claim they are against violence, they got that from the biblical revelation of Christ. Because paganism in itself is all about condoning and excusing violence of the crowd. So neo-paganism that we have today is a hybrid, is a dysfunctional hybrid of biblical teachings as well as the pagan rites of ancient times. Now, it still works, and the reason it works is because people can be deceived into thinking there's something good. Even in the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey had to put some Christian influences just to trick the people. Because if Anton LaVey would have left out the Christian influences in the Satanic Bible, first of all, why do you call it a Bible if you're against biblical Christianity? But anyway, So because he would kept out all those good parts of the Satanic Bible, nobody would pick up that book. Nobody would be drawn into it. By the way, if you ask questions in the live chat, let it relate to this topic. If it doesn't relate to this topic, I will not answer it. I do this just so that there is the structure in the live chat so that other people are not distracted. All right, so don't ask about hieroglyphics when I'm not talking about that in this live stream. Thank you very much. You can ask that on the email or under a video that relates to that topic. Thank you. Now, lesser magic, as already explained, lesser magic is everyday psychological trickery just to get what someone wants, as stated by the paranormal, which they call a force of nature or whatever. Now, you may ask, what's the difference between the New Age movement and the religion Satanism? The difference is, in the religion Satanism, it's all about all about exploiting your own selfishness, about being clear and blunt that you're selfish and you want to be left alone being selfish. But you have the responsibility to be selfish in a stable way. In the New Age, you are informed that being negative is destructive and that you aim to be positive. That's the difference between the two. But at the end of the day, they are both pagan and they both go against Christ. As simple as that. When it comes to the Bible, Old and New Testament are testimonies of how Heavenly Father worked his way through human history, then incarnated himself as Christ Jesus, finished the work at Calvary for us, rose again, and one day he'll come back. So Old and Testament are references to Christ. So you serve Christ. So that we focus on all those books were not included in the canon of the New Testament, that's a distraction. You have other historical sources outside of the books of New Testament. You can look at them for historical reference or to gain historical knowledge, but you shouldn't even be obsessed with the Bible. The Bible is a reference to Christ himself. So you focus on Christ. Okay, hold on. Amen. All right. If you come to my live stream and you begin to talk about the topic not related to the live stream, then you get upset. Why you always like that? And then you want to keep about the topic. That means you're only here to distract. You're only here to hinder. You're blocked. That's how strict I am here in my live streams. No distractions allowed. Now look. When it comes to lesser magic, as they call it, it's called lesser for a good reason, because it's just trickery. Greater magic, well, magic is not great at all. So I don't even why they call it great, but okay. Greater magic simply when you directly focus yourself and force something in the external world. So here Satanism contradicts itself. You're not allowed to force your will on anyone else, especially not sexually, but still you have greater magic where you can force an outcome. But anyway, lesser magic is used on a daily basis. It's also used on you. Maybe not by individual Satanists or magicians out there, but lesser magic is used on you by the corporate world. It's used on you by the government. It's even used on you by church. For example, let's say now that you watch TV. Let's say you watch TV. Well, I don't watch TV that much because there's a lot of garbage on TV. Anyway, and so I prefer to watch documentaries either online or I go to the library or whatever. Sometimes I do open the TV, but I do turn the TV, but it's not that often. But anyway, let's say you watch TV and you watch a documentary, and let's say the documentary has certain parts. The first talk about the medieval culture in Europe and the medieval culture in Asia, and then they talk about ancient culture, the ancient Egyptians, ancient Ethiopians, the Phoenicians, Babylonians. And when they talk about the cathedrals built in Europe, like the Notre Dame, or they talk about the Chinese fleets that they built during the Chinese dynasties, they talk about the excellent knowledge of those people. But then we talk about ancient Egypt and the Israelites, and talk about those Asian cultures which were melanated, or you can say dark-skinned, and African, many of them, because the Middle East was also also considered just Africa, because what we call the Middle East is a term that the British Empire invented in the 19th century. Before that, it was just part of Africa called Al-Kabulan. Whole of Africa, including the Middle East, was called Al-Kabulan, land of the black. And before that, it was just called Africa, or in ancient times, the land of Ham. Now, okay, I'm patient, but I won't take disruption of my live streams. But anyway, why is it then that when they talk about melanated African peoples and their civilization, they call this thing called the space aliens theory? Okay? So now they're saying those ancient people of direct African origin weren't able to build all those pyramids, all the structures. They must have gotten help from some alien species. Oh, but when they talk about European or medieval Asian accomplishments, they don't talk on this ancient space alien theory. So actually what they're saying in the documentary is, we do not accept that people of African origin, black folks, were able to achieve such civilizations. And we have evidence they did, so it couldn't be them. Oh, but when it's the Europeans, or say the Caucasians that built big structures, it must be them. They must have some willpower to do it. Now, what is this? This is an example of lesser magic. They don't flat out tell you that they are resentful that in history it were the people of Africa that had the first complex civilizations. Remember, the Middle East was also Africa back then. They don't want you to know that, because it goes against white supremacy. So they won't openly tell you they're resentful about that. They will admit this existed, but then they will come with an explanation just to undermine the view of people of African origin. No, all of the human species eventually is from African origin anyway, but they want you to view people of direct African origin as people who were not able to accomplish a lot. So through lesser magic, your suggestion, they impute this view on you. That's one example of lesser magic. Another example of lesser magic is when people, let's say you enter a place and everyone says good morning or good evening. You just say hello, hi, and people become angry at you. That's lesser magic. Why? You greeted people, right? You greeted people, so you didn't ignore people. If you would have ignored people, they would be upset, rightfully so. But you greeted them. But you greeted them in an informal way. What makes something formal? What makes something informal? Just a convention some people agree upon. But is it wrong that you said hello instead of good morning? No. But now they're upset because you didn't give in to their expectation. And now because they are upset and they feel rejected that you didn't give in to what they hold high, this is formality, now they ignore you or they look angry at you. So now they meditate anger on you. That's lesser magic right over there. They are making you uncomfortable just to validate their own will. And when they don't get their will, they cause harm or they afflict you with destruction just to make it unattractive for you to repeat this disrespect in the future. That's lesser magic. Now, lesser magic. Many of the manners that society praises are really lesser magic in practice. So lesser magic isn't something completely foreign to us, something that only those weird people in those cults do. Lesser magic is part of how society operates, but you were never informed it's magic. For example, this whole idea that you are not allowed to disagree with your parents, nor to talk back to your parents, that's actually dysfunctional. You have to learn to negotiate with people in life. And the first place where you should learn is with your parents. Now, as a little child, you have to just follow your parents because you can't think for yourselves. So how can you negotiate if you're just a little child? But once you're in your teenage years and growing up, you have to learn to negotiate with your parents. So this whole autocratic attitude, your parents just say something, you have to take it because they're the parents, that's lesser magic. Because this is functional. People just want to get what they want without regarding whether what they want is realistic or not. So the way many people were raised by their parents is also a form of lesser magic that was conducted on them. Whether the parent was aware of it or not doesn't matter, it was lesser magic. Now, if you were raised that way, that just because someone has a title or position, you have to shut up and find a way to bend over what they want, what happens later in life when you are a citizen, a grown citizen in a country, and the politicians are lying to your face? You are more likely to get along with the scams of the politicians, and you will just like say, but they are the authority. Or if you are exploited at work by your employer, you're likely to take it at your own expense. Why? Because that's how you were shaped. You were shaped by lesser magic to be a good and pleasant victim for the community. So, another thing, people only greet you or quote unquote like you when they can benefit from you. If they can't benefit from you or they need to invest in you, they tend to ignore you. That is a common narcissistic attitude in fallen mankind. But when people do this collectively, it's lesser magic. Now, you can discourage bad behavior by lowering contact with someone. There's nothing wrong with that. You can discourage bad behavior by putting sanctions if the bad behavior is extremely dangerous. I don't say you can't do that, but if you just ignore someone or exclude someone just because they don't gratify you, and you do that as a group, that's lesser magic. Indeed, Homer. Absolutely. That is lesser magic. What you say that car salesman, snake oil salesman, they use psychological phrases to trick you. For example, if you would enter a car dealership in general, at least in the Western world, you enter a car dealership, and what happens when you enter? What is the first thing you notice when you enter a car dealership? For those that used to go to car dealership, what's the first thing you notice when you walk in? Let me know in the live chat. I want to know if you catch what I mean here. I'll give you 1 minute to answer. What is the first thing you notice when you enter a car dealership, when you walk into the space? Mm-hmm. Yes, Marky Mark. Luxury environment, expensive prices, everywhere, and they act quite friendly. Now, why do they put all those glittering cars over there? That's to impress you, to think, whoa, there's quality over here. And indeed, those cars over there are shining because they polish them and with special soap, whatever they do. So the cars shine. and you put lights on, so you think, whoa, a lot of quality. Then you put high prices. Because you're now impressed by the luxury cars and how much they shine, now you think they're valuable. And because they're valuable, you expect it to cost something. So that's why they put high prices, psychologically trigger you, think, whoa, this is actually valuable because it costs a lot. And then you have this salesman that appears to you in a suit and tie, very friendly to welcome you. So what all this does to you, it makes you feel welcome, makes you feel loved and appreciated. And because you feel loved and appreciated, you're more likely to invest. And that's how many end up purchasing a car over there. So that's how they do it in car dealerships. So with the car dealership, it's quite obvious. But this is how society itself functions. There are two ways you can do lesser magic, actually. You have punishment and you have temptation. I would call it a reward. I call it temptation. Punishment is when you afflict someone, may put harm or destruction on someone just to scare them into not disagreeing with you. That's punishment. That's what society does with prisons, with fines, and with blacklists and criminal records. They scare you into not disagreeing with the public. The other thing to side is temptation. You tell someone, well, if you agree with us, not only will we not spank you if you agree with us, but we'll also give you praise. We'll also welcome you. We also will value your humanity once you agree with us. That's temptation. Why is temptation? Because they won't actually value your humanity. They just want to take advantage of you, but you have to fake it like you will value your humanity. Because if they don't fake it, you will see through them and you won't cooperate. If they only come with a stick to smack you, you think, hey, what this is for sadistic bullshit. And this is sadistic bullshit indeed. So the way they legitimize the smacking of you is by saying that the smacking is necessary. They come an excuse to justify the smacking. And then they distract you with the temptation, so you're focused on the temptation. And because you focus on temptation, you won't notice you're being smacked around anymore. So eventually you get used to being sadistically smacked around. That's the way society does lesser magic on us. Indeed, casinos use a specific fragrance in the building. They spray that to trigger a good feeling. Now look, if you put perfume in your house or incense just to put a good fragrance so that people will feel good, there's nothing wrong with that in itself. That's just a natural thing to do. You can use natural scents to give a good feeling to people. But why are you doing it? Are you doing it to trick them? No, that's lesser magic. If you just do it just to make people generally feel good, there's nothing wrong with it. So listen, manipulation is you using your influence to get something done. When you go to the kitchen to cook, you manipulate. You chop the onions, you chop the meat, or you put the rice in the rice cooker. You manipulate the fruit, the vegetables, and the other fruits or spices just to get a meal. So cooking is manipulate ingredients to get a meal. When you dress up to go to a party, that's manipulation. You dress a certain way to be in the mood to go to a party. So manipulation in itself is not evil nor wrong. It's just something natural we do. If someone feels that, and to prevent them from being stuck in self-pity, you motivate them. You acknowledge the hurt they go through, but you also tell them this is temporary. It will get better, but you have to go through it. So encouraging people itself is manipulation. Okay? So manipulation by itself is not evil. All right? So manipulation is not evil. Manipulation does not equate witchcraft. Now, people in the world misuse manipulation for wrong purposes at the expense of others. That's why the word manipulation feels so horrible to us. But manipulation in itself is nothing, there's nothing wrong with it. It's why you manipulate and how you manipulate. All right? So, the reason it's important to understand what lesser magic is so that you don't confuse it with biblical dominion. Okay, what is biblical dominion? Biblical dominion is not you bluntly forcing stuff on people without any regard. That's not biblical dominion. Biblical dominion is you reflect on yourself and you are real to yourself about your vulnerability and your weaknesses and the issues you have in life. You also reflect on the people around you and realize that you're part of a community, or you have to deal with other people. So biblical dominion is being realistic and realize you need to have your Father's guidance, and then you submit to the Heavenly Father's guidance. And in this submission, you receive power from the Holy Spirit, and now you use this power to execute God's will around you, which is to bring life and abundance around you. And your own will is also involved because you are a participant agent of God's glory. So yes, your initiatives and your dreams and your aspirations and ambitions are also relevant, but you all incorporate them in God's will. So biblical dominion is not being a robot or a machine acting out what God says emotionlessly. No, it's you participating by agreeing with God's will. And when you participate in God's will, the power flows through you and you can get results in daily life. That's biblical dominion. Biblical dominion is dynamic, it's relational because you operate in relation to the Heavenly Father, and it's practical based on the situation. So that's biblical dominion. Lesser magic is static, it's based on patterns and cycles, and it's all about getting quick fixes. No long-term solution can come from lesser magic, ever. Now, again, lesser magic is what we're used to by society, even not knowing what it is. And that's why we so often, I say we because we're all humans here, that's why we often fall for some ridiculous hoaxes. Okay? That's because, look, if you don't know that this magic has been conducted on you, that you don't know really what's going on. For example, if someone is always blunt, they always say what they think. They don't care how it affects you, or they always direct towards you. If they don't like you, they show it and they say it to your face. If they can't stand you, they say it. Or they're upset about something, they just express it. If they have an opinion, they just say it. Or if you ask for their opinion, they don't even check whether their opinion matters or not, just say it. Because, hey, you asked my opinion. They just are open and direct with what they feel and think, and you just have to find a way to deal with it. And they will say, hey, at least I'm honest. At least I'm... No. If someone escalates their feelings verbally or physically without regarding whether their feelings are correct or not, that's violence. Because they feel uncomfortable and just want to act out the discomfort to lose the discomfort. Look, it doesn't matter whether someone... Look, if you're upset, that means you're upset. Are you upset for a right reason or not? You need to self-reflect. If you don't self-reflect, but just act out you're upset, that's violence. Because you just want to dump the discomfort to feel better. And that affects other people, yeah, that's on them. At least I'm honest. That's lesser magic. You're violating people while at the same time tricking people into thinking that you have a right to violate them because at least you do it openly. That's lesser magic. And many people are praising blunt people as honest. No, honest is when you self-reflect, reflect on the people, and work towards a long-term solution. That's honest. Honest is not just dumping your feelings and your thoughts without any regard for how it affects other people or without any regard whether you're correct or not. So people just being blunt without any regard is violence. At the other hand, people always being chronic people's pleasers just so that they're never bothered by anger is also lesser magic, because now you have people putting themselves in harm's way just to please other people. So whether you put yourself in harm's way by always saying yes to everyone, or you bluntly say no without any explanation because you can't just say no, both are lesser magic. In both cases, there's a dysfunction that you seek to justify with psychological trickery. And here's the thing, people that are blunt and direct, they're not blunt and direct against the police officer, they can arrest them. They're not blunt against the judge in a courthouse. They're not blunt against their employer who can fire them. They're not blunt against the criminal in the streets that carries a gun or a knife. They're not blunt against people that can retaliate against their dumping. They're only blunt against their children, their subordinates at work, or just random people on the street that they will never see again. They're only blunt against people where they can get away with dumping. Yet they're so-called honest. So this I'm just being honest or I'm just keeping true attitude is lesser magic. But a lot of people were raised by parents who were blunt, so they think being blunt is just being real. No, it's violence. The only time you should be blunt is when there's actual danger. For example, if you smell smoke in a building and people are kind of ignoring it, you have to tell them, hey guys, listen, there's smoke here. What is burning? Then you have to be blunt because there's actual danger and you have to force people to realize, hey, there's something wrong here. Or if someone's walking down the street, someone jumps on them with a knife, then you have to be blunt by being screaming and push one off you because you're actually endangered. You should only be blunt when it comes to actual, when there's actual danger going on that needs specific attention. Only then you can be blunt. Only then being blunt is appropriate. If you're blunt outside of actual danger, you're just being violent. You're just disregarding your obligation and responsibilities towards the community. That's why Christ said, the meek shall inherit the earth. Meek does not mean you are a people's pleaser, taking all abuse and all exploitation. Meek simply means, you know what? I'm not going to explode to prove a point. I'm going to check what I can do practically to get out of this bad situation. And then when I'm free from situation, to see what I can do about the situation in a constructive way. That's being meek. And people that are meek, they end up achieving far more in the long term in life. So that's why Christ said, the meek shall inherit the earth. Another, for example, the Bible says when someone, Jesus said also, if someone is in argument with you, resolve the issue before they go to the judge and sue you. Why? Because once they sue you and the judge agrees with them, they will seek to arrest you and put you in prison. And once you're in prison, it's going to be very hard for you to get out of it if you ever get out. So that's a parable Christ used. No. In ancient times, when Christ walked the earth, you had to go to the local magistrate when you had issues with someone, and they would go to the judge. So it's based on the Roman or Greek legal system of then, but it's the same Greek legal system you still have today, but in a more advanced way. So what Christ is actually saying is that, look, whenever there's contention, the first thing you do is face this contention. Second, find a way to de-escalate contention as soon as possible. And if that requires you to just give in or to leave the situation, you do that. Because once the contention escalates, and now the public wants to dump on someone, very likely they'll decide to dump on you. And once that happens, you have to go through maybe months or years of retaliation against your life. So if you can bypass it, you bypass it. Being meek has advantages. Meekness is wisdom. Meekness is intelligence. People who always just say no, without regard, because saying no is all sentence, so people just ignore, or people who always stand up for themselves or defend themselves, or people who have self-respect, people who love to create and enforce boundaries, such people are trapped. Self-defense is a hoax. It's a trap that will keep you in contention. By being flexible and practical, which is what meekness comes down to, you both avoid being tricked into conflict, and you were able to escape and bypass conflict successfully without being blamed. Indeed, courthouses are pagan. Okay, and courthouses are based on paranormal patterns and cycles. So why would believers go to a courthouse when they have issues with another believer? Why do believers have issues with each other anyway? that means that those believers are not delivered. Now, look, being meek enables you to actually come to better conclusions in life. Being meek keeps you calm, and when you're calm, you can think better. Being blunt out of context, or just being self-defensive in defense mode, all those things will backfire. Look, there are even pagans who put some of Christ's teachings into practice, and it benefits them. Sometimes the public just wants to rage and escalate. So the public will accuse you. You think, hey, I'm going to show proof that I'm innocent. They don't care about proof you're innocent, just want to accuse you just to have a fight. So when people just accuse you and they don't come with any actual proof, they know they just want to fight. Leave the situation. Walking away may let you appear like a coward, but you're not a coward. You're actually smart. Now, sometimes you have to address things. You can't always just walk away. Sometimes you need to address things, but only address things when it's worth it to address it. Don't address things when people are insisting on just fighting. So, biblical dominion requires humility. It requires alertness, and also requires self-reflection. So, has any of you ever witnessed a situation? Eddie Johnson, thanks for being here. Now, has any of you ever witnessed a situation in which someone did the right thing, but realized that doing the right thing may not have been the best thing to do? Has any of you ever faced such a situation? Indeed, just like Homer is saying, why do judges wear black and white, which is duality? Why do they have a hammer smiting on something? Why a hammer? It's quite violent to smack a hammer saying it has been agreed. Why a hammer? Do you go with the hammer when you're discussing things with your spouse? Listen, if you're discussing something with your spouse, are you going to use a hammer saying, hey, listen, darling, I said it's going to happen. 10. Or if you're discussing something with your children, are you going to use a hammer? Or are you going to smack them? I agree it's going to happen. No, I hope you're not doing that to your children. Why are you using a hammer in a courthouse? And why is it just wearing black and white? All these things are subtle clues that you're dealing with a cult. People just don't realize this. It's a grayful, it's a gayful, they call it indeed. Now, look, doing the right thing can trick you in worse trouble. Okay? Look, sometimes, I'm not saying always, so don't twist my words over here. Sometimes you have to tolerate a bad situation because you confronted that situation will only make it worse. Even governments and courthouses understand this. Okay, let me give an example. Let's say there is drugs being sold at an high school. Okay? Some of those teenage high schools sell drugs over there. And they get the drugs from the streets. Now, this is against the law, and now a prosecutor wants the police to go and find out who are the teenagers selling drugs and to arrest them. But then the mayor of the town where the drug dealing happens in the high school says to the police, no, 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 no. I'm the mayor here. I'm in charge. Yes, the courthouse gives an order for you to research this, but I'm the mayor and I'm telling you, don't arrest any teenagers selling drugs. Now, according to law, they should be arrested and sentenced. But the mayor sees the following. If you go with the police to high school and arrest those teenagers are going to be traumatized because police came in and arrested some of their buddies. Their buddies now, when they're released from, even if they don't get a prison term and they only get community service, they'll be humiliated for life, and this will likely trick them to remain on the criminal path. So you won't solve anything with it. And if the police is used to entering high schools and using force on people, that's going to trigger anger into the pupils. And this will lead to resentment and also work on the community. So the mayor says, I don't want a disruption of the East in this community. So listen, if you catch one of those guys in the streets selling drugs, you can arrest them, but don't ever go to school. So even the authorities, the world authorities know that just because you can do the right thing doesn't mean you should always do it. For example, let's say that you have a narcissist who's always blaming other people or who's always complaining. You confronting that individual with what they are is going to make them so uncomfortable they're going to explode. And you may get harmed in the process of confronting them, or they may end up harming others or committing suicide. And if they commit suicide, it's going to be trauma in the community. So are you going to confront that individual? No, you're just going to lower contact and get out of their way so that you are away from their violence. Indeed. And here's the thing I want you to understand. Some people, not all, some people ask for help, but they don't really want help. Because help you need when you're in danger or when you're dysfunctional. When you're dysfunctional or you're in danger, you need help from the outside in order to be better. Now, people that admit they're dysfunctional or they're in danger and need help, they will receive any help that comes. Whether they ask for help or not, they're happy help comes because they needed it. But people who don't want solution, people just want to flee, they don't want help, just want to flee. But if they admit openly that they just want to flee, they would lose all social support they have. So they will fake as if they want help. So they will ask for help they don't want, just let you think that they want help, and then you'll feel comfortable helping them out. And while doing that, they're draining you, and by draining you, they're traumatizing you, and by traumatizing you, now demons have a hold on you. There are people doing that. So beware with people who are asking help, but you don't see a context that they mean it. If you don't notice the context that they mean what they're asking, beware. For example, in the Netherlands, in the past, you had those racist elderly women. They would drop a bag of groceries and pretend like they need help, and then you, as a foreigner or a migrant, would say, "Hey, I'm going to help this elderly lady. She dropped her groceries." You would ask, "Ma'am, are you okay?" She said, "Oh, could you please help me?" You help her out, and then you help her out. Then later she says, "Oh, that guy stole from me," and now you have the police after you. Now, she was an old, decaying narcissist, and she just wanted to pass around her misery. So she faked dropping her groceries, as if she did drop her groceries, but she faked as if she was collapsing, just to get help and sympathy. And now she transferred negative attention to someone else through an accusation. So that also happens. Okay, Ismir had a question, really says, what about the situation that you as a believer hanged out with an unbeliever that was being treated bad temporarily, and the moment that you started to hang out with them, people start to treat you bad? Well, that's the thing. If someone is a target of psychic anger and you associate with them, people associate you with the target. So when the target's not around, they will take it out on you. That's how worldly people are. That's why a lot of people in the world, when they notice that you're the target of psychic anger, they'll just avoid you. It's cowardly, but it happens. And by doing that, they're enabling violence against you. It happens a lot. Complainers. What's the best way to deal with complainers? Find out what they're complaining about. Then find out why they're complaining about it and ask them, what do you propose? Just ask the complainer, what do you propose? Just ask them, what do you propose? So if someone is complaining about low wages, ask them, what do you propose? The moment you ask that, you gave them a spotlight in which they now are able to do something about what they're complaining about. And then they will either calm down, realize, hold on a minute, I'm only complaining, or they will avoid your question and begin to avoid you. So, and then that gives you the opportunity to get out of the situation. Look, complaining is not bad in itself. When something is horrible or something has to be addressed, you have to go. Complaining is not always bad. Sometimes you need to complain to address something. But are you only complaining just to relieve yourself, or are you complaining to motivate people to do better? If you complain to motivate for better, that's good, because then you will only complain for a little while things are working out for better. Or are you complaining just because you want to escalate? What is it? So find out the motive of someone by asking a constructive question. For example, what do you propose? Or what do you want to do about it? Or what do you expect about the situation? Just ask such constructive questions. Okay, someone wants to look for a fight over here. Gone. Well, it's weird here. People come to my live stream just to complain and to dump, knowing I'm going to block them. Well, whoever this Dante Castro is, man, not only are you blocked, but she has spiritual repercussions onto you also. I hope it was worth it. But anyway. By the way, this YouTuber called me boring. So you're here for sensation? If you want sensation, go to Hollywood. Go to those gossip channels. I'm not here to entertain and make people excited. Look, when you complain, it should be that you're upset about the situation, but you're motivated for better. That's why you should complain. Christ complained also, because while he complained, he was doing something about it for the better. If someone complains, but you don't do something about it for the better, it means you just want to escalate. In that situation, just ask constructive questions and get out of the situation. People that never complain are not in the right mind. Look, during this lifetime, there will be dysfunction and there will be bad stuff happening. Complaining is not you just screaming at someone and being angry. Complaining is not you just screaming at someone. Okay, let me give an illustration. Let's say you come at home and your son's room is a mess. You're going to say, why the F do you clean up your room? Why is so mess up here? Clean up your room. You don't do that. You're going to scream and yell at your child, hey, why did you clean up your room? And say, you're always so dirty, whatever. No. You say, come on, son. Your room is dirty. You can do better than this. Come on now. Clean your room, man. You complain in a constructive way. The second way, you not only motivate your son or your daughter to clean up the room, but they actually will have joy doing it because they realize, oh, this is much better for me. But if you come and just scream at them, they may end up doing it, but they'll have this fright that will haunt them. And they'll get used to being yelled at. And when they are used to being yelled at, they end up as a chronic people's pleaser, or they may develop resentment towards you, screaming and yelling at them, that they end up becoming those toxic dumpers later in life. So, complaining is a tool for the better. That's why you complain. Complain is not a drug meant for you to get ease. And unfortunately, many in the world, complaining is their drug. It's not heroin, nor cocaine, nor porn, nor alcohol. Their addiction is complaining. They feel better when they complain. But just because they feel bad doesn't mean they are bad, because they complain about something, but nothing's done about the bad situation. The situation only gets worse because now you have the addiction of complaining on top of it. And if you keep complaining, you may worsen the situation. And by the way, why are you complaining? A complaint is only valid if there's an actual dysfunction needs to be addressed, or if there is a dangerous situation. For example, if you come at home and your husband has a stove on, but it's burning while your husband's watching football, you turn off the stove immediately and you complain, darling, you're watching football and the stove and the meal is burning in the pan. Come on now. This complaint is legitimate because it was a bad situation. It could have catch fire, or worse could have happened. All right? In that case, it's legitimate to complain, but the complaint only serves the purpose of rectifying the situation. But if you arrive home and you're angry because your employer was rude against the staff, or the employer was quite demanding, and arrive at home and you begin to scream at your husband or at your wife that the dishes aren't done, that's you just your complaint is just dumping, just release stress that you got from work. Why are you still working there? Why don't you start your own business? Why don't you do something more so that you never end up in the same situation? So the motive of the complaint also matters. Okay, if the motive is correct, you can just work, that's easy to work towards a solution. Just ask, what do you propose? If the motive is dumping, you can ask constructive questions, and once you ask constructive questions, eventually you realize that there are no one solutions. You can and because they now reveal that there are no one solution, you can legitimately walk away and can't blame you for it. So, for example, that troll, or whoever the individual is that just came to my live stream just to complain about me and to escalate, why doesn't he or she, but based on him I consider it's a he, why doesn't he face his issues in life, realize he needs help, and work towards a solution? No, but he prefers to come to someone that gives a constructive live stream and begins to pollute the atmosphere so that they become relevant. That's how narcissistic people operate. It's not only narcissists operate like this. Narcissistic people, or worldly people in general, tend to operate like this. They don't come with a solution. They don't come with a contribution for the better. They just want to escalate just to feel better. And they want to take away from what's going on so that they are relevant. Homer says, "Must one believes a lie from a narcissist, that's spellcasting also." Absolutely. Oh, it's good that you mentioned this, Homer. When someone tells you something bad or traumatic happened to them, you listen. Not only is it polite and well-mannered to listen to someone share something horrible that happened to them with you, but By listening effectively, you can also detect whether it's genuine or not. Let's say someone shares with you that they have a crazy ex stalking them. Okay, let's say a woman tells you she has a crazy ex stalking her, and she even filed a police report against him, and all of that. And she is so she doesn't know what to do anymore because she says she wants to move on with her life, but this crazy ex keeps bothering her. Okay, listen to what she said. Okay. Okay, she mentioned she was stalked by this crazy ex. Okay, so she used to be involved with the guy. Okay, but why did she leave the guy? Did she mention you why she left the guy? If she only mentions herself in a victim role throughout the whole conversation, something's off. Now look, if the guy was abusive and she left the guy for an objective reason, then her attitude will be open about it. That, okay, the guy was abusive and all of that, and I left the guy, now the guy is after me. But when a female is abusive, and she was the one that left a guy because she thought, hey, I can earn better, and now she's disappointed because she didn't find better. Now she tried to play the victim because when people find out that she left a good man, people don't think, what's wrong with you? So now she wants to put the ex in a bad daylight. So she may contact the ex from time to time. Then the ex replies back, and then she say, oh, you see, he's stalking me because someone talked to me. So she is initiating contact with the ex. And when the ex responds, sometimes she responds late and says, you know, he's stalking me. You see that I often respond late? She is manipulating, she is using lesser magic to get sympathy from other people at expense for ex. The ex was never abusive, no wrong. She was the wrong one thinking I earned better and she left the guy. And now she pretends like she wants to reconcile and she's using that context to trick others to see him in a bad daylight so nobody notice how messed up she is. You get me? So in the case, I'm using this as an example because there are also men doing a similar thing. I know that. I'm just using it as an example. Listen to when people share their struggles with you or bad outcomes. Listen, bad outcomes can happen in life. Okay, this is the world we live in. Let's be realistic. But are you willing to deal in a responsible manner with the bad outcomes you encounter? If the bad outcome is not your fault, it's not because of you, it's not because of you. But it doesn't matter whether it's your fault or not. The bad outcome is there. What do you constructively do about the bad outcome? That's taking responsibility. If it's not your fault and it just happened, okay, it just happened. Deal with it in a constructive way. Are people willing to be constructive about the bad situations they encounter? That's why you need to listen well to them. If they're only looking for sympathy, they will expose themselves eventually. Again, it's not just women doing this, there are men doing this also. You have a whole cult online of men bitching and complaining about women in general. It's called, you know how this group is called. I'm not going to mention the name here because I don't want to be flagged by YouTube, but you have this cult online that keeps bitching and complaining about women all the time in all their videos. But when you look at their life's choices, the type of women they pursued were the type of women you should stay away from. So of course, if you pursue the wrong type of female, you're going to get misery. Does that mean that every female is messed up? No. But now you have a whole cult of men dumping and shitting on females. And I'm thinking, huh? What about being constructive? If a lot of women are messed up, it comes from how society forms them. And you guys are men, so take lead in your communities to raise a better generation of females. Work for a solution. So that your sons or your descendants or people who come after you don't have to put up with the things you go through. Be constructive. No, you just want to complain. It's a cycle of complaining. All right. Another individual needs to be blocked over here. Well, saints, those trolls just proved my point. They come all the way here to complain on my live stream, but where are their videos? Where are their live streams being constructive? Where is it? Where's their content to be constructive to the community? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, they don't have any. Just like I do now. I don't argue with these people. I just block them, and I mention their bad behavior as an example of how narcissistic world people can be, and I continue. So, lesser magic. Whereas greater magic, lesser magic, magic is magic. We don't need magic. Okay? We don't need magic. We need the biblical dominion. If someone uses magic because that's all they know, if magic is all you know, that's all you know. You can't do better. We as believers, we can do better. We should show better by operating in biblical dominion. Stop being upset and angry at those operating in magic. That's all they have. It's all they can do. But you can do better. And when you do better, they will experience the results of you doing better. They realize, you know what? This magic thing we do, it has too many side effects. Let's do the real thing that like those believers are doing right over there. So that's why biblical dominion is the real deal. Biblical dominion is a real deal. You have to be meek, humble, realistic, watchful, not careful. Careful is when you're fearful, looking for what's going on. You have to be watchful. And that's how you will deal with situations in the proper way. And here's the big deal about it. When you operate in dominion, once you operate in dominion, you'll be ahead of a lot of stuff. Because I'm going to repeat this. No evil and no violence can happen on the earth without warning signals ahead of time. Too often, violence and evil or trash or bad things just happen. It doesn't just happen, but to our experience, it just happens because we were not alert towards what's going on around us. If you are alert concerning your environment, you will pick up on stuff that don't add up. But most of the people are distracted in daily life, so they don't notice what's around them. If you don't notice what's around you, then you won't see bad things coming. There are also good things that can come your way. You remember? Some people miss out on opportunities in life because they don't notice what's around them. If you pay attention to what's around you, you may notice, hold on a minute. There's an open field over there. You know what? During the summer, we can have a barbecue over there. That open field of grass there is an opportunity to have a barbecue, to have a community gathering. But if you only go to work, come home, and you never notice there's an open field of grass over there, you don't notice, there's an opportunity there to have a barbecue. Or let's say you want to start your own business, and you see that, these buildings are empty, and they're being rented. You know what? I can rent one of those places and start my own business over there. When you are alert concerning your environment, you will notice opportunities as well as warning signals. It's not only warning signals you will notice, you will also notice opportunities. Too many people don't notice opportunities in their face. Why? Because they're so distracted by either complaining or by fleeing. So like Homer said, narcissists will ask stupid questions in order for you to engage. Once you do that, they can steal attention energy. They can have a grip on you once you do that. So, let me see. There's not much I have to say about this topic about lesser magic versus biblical dominion. You don't know what biblical dominion is. You know how to walk in it through prayers, decrees, declarations, fasting, and by being meek and practical about the situation, as I mentioned before in many of my live streams. Operate in biblical or real dominion. That will overrule any magic that goes on around you. And again, people that use magic, they don't know any better. The world never taught them better. So you can't be upset with them for not knowing better. No. Even if they knew better and they're still in the wrong, why being upset with them? That won't help anything. Operate in biblical dominion, because that will overrule the dangers around you. That's why I do not allow free comments on my YouTube videos, because some people will ask questions, you think they want help, and you give them answer, then come up with another problem, and then they keep on complaining, just to drain you. And when you don't give in to that, suddenly they'll complain openly. Some will fake being believers because they're upset that you walk in power, so they will pretend to be believers and they will fake pray. And when things don't happen, they'll say, you see, faith is useless. Jesus doesn't exist. Why? Because I've been praying and nothing happens. They're not real believers. They just want to join real believers, just to make real believers look bad. You have such people. So that's why I'm strict with the comments and strict with whoever engaged in the live chat. For example, those people that came in the first, you had this guy coming in the live chat, talk about hieroglyphs on pyramids. Then the one, he said, well, the pyramids contain the date of the second coming of Christ. I was thinking, what? No, but no man knows the date or the hour when Jesus returns. So I knew this individual was trolling and just wanted to distract. Because first I said, if you have questions, don't relate to the topic, ask them in the email or on another video. Then he said, why are you always like that? And I had more trolls saying that. Why are you always like this? So they're upset that I don't allow them to just escalate and disrupt the live stream. Then I block the individual. Then you get other trolls coming, complaining you're lame, you're religious, this and that. I'm sorry, but where's your content? If you want to debate me or you disagree, come with your content and come with your works. Come with your activity. Come with your contribution and tell me where I'm wrong. So it may be the same person. I don't know who that individual is. They should be focused on moving forward in life. I'm sorry, but if you have to work from 9 to 5, or if you're being exploited by society, you bitching complaining against me, it's not going to stop what's going on with you. You're still in the same bad situation. Yeah, you feel better by dumping and interrupting my live stream, but what? You're still in the bad situation. And if you know what, it takes some time to make different accounts on YouTube. So the fact people are willing to make various accounts just to escalate on someone, that shows you the obsessive mindset those people have. And just learn from this. That's why I don't have a church building. That's why I don't establish a church. First of all, why would I need you all to come to a specific building to minister unto you? I can do it online. You get me? The thing is, if I would have a church building and all of you had to come to a church building, such people would come and they would come with a knife or with a gun just to look for a fight, and when you're about to evict them from the church, you're looking to fight back. That's how such people are. They are not facing anything in life. They don't want to process anything. They don't want to deal with anything. So they just want an outlet to explode to feel better. And they don't care what it does to the target or the people around them. And on the internet, they can do it with anonymous accounts, and you won't know who they are. But in real life, let me say, before social media existed, they would actually go out there and actually harm people or begin to vandalize and break stuff to feel better. So that's why I tell you, walk in power. They always set peace ahead of you. And when you are engaging and people, you feel like something's off with someone, don't just dismiss them immediately, unless the Spirit tells you to. Just politely and peacefully decline interacting with them and move forward. They want you to diss them or just ignore them so they have a reason to escalate on you. So, Homer, you're telling the truth here. False news and media lies is mass spellcasting, absolutely. Look, I'm glad that despite all those trolls coming to disrupt, you received the message and you received the teaching. I'm happy with that. By the way, Eddie Johnson, if you're still there and you're on WhatsApp, I want to talk to you briefly of this live stream. I won't take much of your time, but I need to catch up with you. So stay with your WhatsApp, please. I have a new number, so I'm going to contact you. So stay off the live stream, please. And the thing is, look at this. The society lies to you. Society uses violence and tricks to exploit you. Society keeps you in a weakened, exhausted state so you can't fight back or achieve anything in life. Society does that. Society may put out gurus out there to let you think they're helping you, but they're deceiving you. I have power from the Holy Spirit, and I'm teaching people how to be powerful in Christ and how to use that for your advantage and the advantage of those around you. So I'm actually teaching people knowledge for free. Knowledge that's life-saving and it can benefit you and the people around you. But they just want to complain and escalate here. Well, you have such people. Don't stop trying to reach them, stop trying to reform them, just remove yourself from them or ban them from having access to you. As simple as that. Les Brown, why do you ask, how do you control the people, invoke fear? We don't do fear over here. We walk by faith. We don't do controlling. We manage life. That's what we do. Guided by the Holy Spirit. That's how we do it. Okay. I get what you're saying here. And by the, okay, oh, you mean to ask how the society invokes fear and puts and controls the masses? Okay, they do it with trickery. That's how they do it. Society only use tricks on you, and once they have you under grip, now they use the actual violence against you, just like narcissists do. Society love bombs you so that you surrender to its grip, and once it has a grip over you, now it begins to smack you around, and now they will blame you for it. That's how it does. The narcissist is actually the individual personification of society. That's the only thing they have. But we as believers, we have power. That's why I tell you to walk in power. I don't fellowship with any believer who doesn't want to talk about walking in power. If a believer only wants to talk about Bible verses, and only want to talk about church doctrine, or only want to complain about stuff in the world, man, I don't want to fellowship with that. I want to fellowship with believers to talk about walking in power. It's by walking in power we get things done on the earth. All right. Do you have any questions further about this topic? And by the way, Eddie Johnson, stay with your WhatsApp because I'm about to call you. Indeed, and indeed, you serve either one or the other. You can't serve both. All right. All right. If I don't get any questions, I will be closing the live. So let me just see. All right, let me see if I missed any questions. No, I haven't missed anything. Okay. Good, Suzanne. That you guys have across the Jordan. Happy with that. Should believers know the principalities of the countries? No, we don't have to know the principal. We don't have to know who those demons actually are, because we shouldn't be interested in them, but we should know about them. And I made live streams about it also, less, so you can check them out, less, those videos. Anyway, when it comes to principalities over countries, man, just walk in power, and by walking in power, you will shut down those creeps, man. There's no such thing as a kingdom of darkness. So check out the live streams I made within 2 weeks ago, because I've explained a lot about it. Well, okay. Thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and I'll see you next time. Peace.